Welcome. We are at booth number 163 at the Sausalito Art Festival 2012, year number 60. I'm with David Falossi, who is you're a sculptor, correct?
Indeed.
And you work primarily with granite, glass, steel, water.
Exactly.
Can you tell me a little bit what inspires you to work with those materials and maybe why?
I've always found that working with stone just gives me a little more satisfaction. It's a little more difficult to work with than other mediums, so the stone is the foundation of all my work, and then the metals, glass, and in some cases water serve to make those forms that I'm making out of stone just more appealing.
Interesting. And have you been to the Sausalito Art Festival before?
Yeah, I've done it many years in a row.
And what do you look forward to each year that you come back to Sausalito?
I like the party.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the party, and I'm getting a lot of support from my collectors in this area. And I love the venue is beautiful, being next to the water, seeing the fog rolling over the hills, very romantic.
Is there a camaraderie with a bunch of the artists that keep on coming? You know, each year, do you start to see some familiar faces and develop different bonds?
Yeah,
as time goes on?
It's always great, and it's nice to be able to celebrate our accomplishments at the gala on Friday night. It's always great to get 200 artists and a large amount of collectors and art patrons in the same building, dressed up and having a good time. It's a party that you won't find anywhere else.
Excellent. If people wanted to see more of your work, do you go to a lot of these festivals? Do you have a website? Are you on display?
I have a website, FalossiStudios.com, and a Facebook artist page, Falossi Studio, and I do a couple of shows in Beverly Hills, and one in Indian Wells, one in La Quinta, and occasionally one in La Jolla.
Do you live in the desert?
Yeah, I live in the desert in a town called Yucca Valley.
Right. And do you have a studio there
Yeah.
that you work in, your garage? Or
yeah, I have a really nice art studio, and it's on our property with our home, so I'm able to walk out and walk into my studio building and work first thing in the morning without having to drive or commute. Wow. So it's nice.
And where do you come up with the materials of this size? Like, what, do you have to?
Well, I've been collecting stone since I was in my early 20s, so I have an abundant amount of different kinds of exotic materials from all over the world. So I can look at these blocks of stone, which might be, the size of a wheelbarrow up to the size of a Volkswagen van or something, and be inspired over the course of a long time, maybe many years, until I look at that rock and think, oh, I think I'm going to make this one something out of that form, and then I can move that rock into my studio and turn it into something magnificent.
And if somebody wanted to commission you for a piece, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I'm commissioned all the time from different people or commercial settings, businesses. Right now I'm doing 2 pieces for a cemetery in Kansas. So I'm looking forward to doing that piece. It's going to be inspiring to the people that go there and are in a time of difficulty, and they can get hopefully spiritually uplifted by my forms.
Interesting. What would have been one of the most challenging pieces for you to take on so far?
Well, I did an 11,000 pound piece. It was actually called The Challenge, where a man's form was coming out from inside the block. So it's in a Michelangelo-esque kind of carved way, where he has the forms emerging from the stone. And in this case, the sculpture was emerging from this block, and it was much larger than life. And it was a really difficult piece to make. It ended up in the Seven Bridges collection in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Wonderful. Well, if you want to come down and see some of David's work in person, he's at booth 163. Is that correct?
That's it.
At the Sausalito Art Festival 2012, year number 60. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure.
we look forward to seeing more of your work. So come on down.